New Zealand is an agricultural country, only 1 worker in 5 is employed directly on the land. Factory workers are more numerous than agricultural workers, and the greater number of them work in factories employing local raw materials such as timber, meat, milk and wool. Even before the late war, secondary industries were expanding and making the country less dependent upon imported goods. New skills were brought in by immigrants or acquired by the New Zealand born. These are a people willing to try their hands at any job that offers and used to succeeding in new enterprises. Industrial problems that will not yield to empirical methods are turned over to the Department of Scientific and Industrial Research, which maintains a dozen laboratories throughout the country. Their research on raw materials, production methods and finished products has saved the country many millions. Heavy industry dates from the building of the first railway locomotive in 1889. At the turn of the century, railway workshops designers achieved world fame with their Pacific-class locomotive. The New Zealand railways still build all their own engines and their own workshops, using steel and pig iron imported from England and Australia. They also build most of their own rolling stock. In early days, only the coasts of the country were accessible, and it was the building of railways that opened up inland plains for settlement. The mountainous country set many obstacles before railway engineers, but today 3,500 miles of track are in use, connecting the farms with deep water harbours, the factories with their source of raw materials, and carrying passengers and goods through both main islands. Because Cook Strait divides the railways into 2 separate systems, there are many routes on which air freight is of value in saving transshipment. Between North Island and South Island centres, such a service is operated by the Railways Department. Passenger services by air are steadily expanding, both in the number of routes operated and in numbers of passengers carried. As air travel increases, the sight of towns from the air becomes a common experience. The gridiron pattern is the one most frequently seen. The laying of a gridiron pattern onto a flat map doesn't always give satisfactory results in a hilly country, and more practical ideas of town planning are now being adopted. Buildings are designed to be earthquake-proof and so rarely go beyond 7 or 8 stories. In any case, there's plenty of room in most places and no necessity to build upwards rather than outwards. Street names, like personal names, reflect origins. And though old world designs are not always suitable to new world climates and materials, architecture reflects origins too. With 1 car to 5 inhabitants, the percentage of motorists is the second highest in the world. One reason is that distances are large. In the country, a farmer may use his car to visit his nearest neighbours. To serve the business motorist and the holiday driver, almost every settlement with a name to it has a garage, or at least a petrol pump or bowser. Another means of transport is the service car or long-distance bus. Away from the railways, the service cars carry mail and passengers, bread and groceries. Along many a lonely road, the passing of the service car is the event of the day. Each Friday night and Saturday morning, cars pour out of town to the mountains, streams, lakes and broad ocean beaches. But the poor city man, out for a carefree weekend spin, is apt to find himself being forcibly reminded that it's wool, beef and such like that really pay for his imported car and petrol. Endeavours are made to keep stock routes and traffic routes separate, but often enough the two coincide. And once or twice in every long country motor drive, it's necessary to slow up for stock. There are no holidays for the drover on a long-distance job until his animals are safely delivered to their destination. When a motoring family has a week or so for holidays, they tour the more inaccessible scenic drives or visit tourist hotels at the lakes or in the mountains. There are roads leading into the mountain areas of both islands. To the outsider, New Zealand itself may seem remote enough, but to the New Zealander, these are the remote places. The ranges crowned with permanent snows, and the thousands of square miles of foothills that are almost uninhabited. It's in the ranges that many city people spend every day that they can spare. For people on holidays, the snows may mark the end of the journey. But for the transport of commerce, they represent a barrier both to roads and to railways. But today, air transport takes mountains in its stride, just as it takes sea straits and rough country. Where the pioneer penetrated tediously with pack horse or bullock sledge, wings pass without effort.